For example, if we go over here to transform, we can turn on activate symmetry, and let's go ahead and pull this menu over to the side with that white button there. And let's change this to, let's turn on floor, see how we're oriented. Looks like we're Z forward, so we do radial symmetry across the Z. There we go. So when I have radial count turned up to 8, so if I hold down Alt with my Z modeler brush BZM, you can see we can now go through here and we can alt tap these ones, and now we can select this one. We'll go to Inset Single Poly, each poly. Now we can just kind of inset these to add a little border in here. And let's go grab something else that might be cool too. So I'm going to go to hit B, I, insert multi-mesh boolean, M. We'll grab the switch. We'll go into subtool. We'll duplicate this. We'll hit W. We'll tap that again. And actually we'll hit X symmetry to turn off X here. Now we can kind of steal this as well. So if I go into solo mode here, we can hold down Control Shift. We can get rid of all these extraneous pieces here. We can go ahead and delete hidden, geometry modify topology, delete hidden. Now you see this one has a ton of geometry around these edges, and where I'm going to insert it, it doesn't. You can go through here and try and make it more compatible by inserting multiple edge loops on here if you'd like to, but let's see what this is going to do. So if I do this one, we know this has a hole in the back here. So if I go to brush, insert, we'll go ahead and create insert mesh new, or you could use your new create button in that one there. We're going to go ahead and turn that subtool off. So now with radial symmetry turned on, I can drag this out onto that polygroup here. We can go ahead and reposition this thing. We can scale it down. And let's go ahead and turn on LSim so we can scale it down on its local axis here. Move this in, and then control drag again, and it'll go ahead and mesh fuse. If we want to, we can turn off smooth, and that'll go ahead and fuse those together. So even though we have very incompatible geometry here, it's still mesh fused fine. If we hit D, it's still smoothing pretty good. So don't be afraid to use mesh fusion. Now another cool thing you can do is, let's say we wanted to fuse this the opposite direction. So what we can do is when we drag out our brush that we made from this mesh, just like when we dragged out the live Boolean meshes that we were doing, when you hold down Alt, what that's going to do is go out of solo mode here. Let's go grab our brush here. We're going to hold down Alt. And again, we're going to drag it onto that polygroup here. But what it's doing is now inserting it on the back side. So let's again go ahead and just rearrange where this thing's going to go. Control drag again, and now it's going to fuse, but we can see that it's actually inset into the mesh here. So we're getting very detailed results just by using mesh fusion within ZBrush with two completely incompatible meshes, but we're still getting a great result. So now we have a whole brand new mesh we can use. So I'm going to go to B. Let's go grab this one here, and then I'm going to, instead of going to brush down there, we can go to brush, create, insert mesh, and we'll go ahead and append this one. We'll go back to our demo head here. Hit F, and so that was our original one. And just one more time, just for fun, let's go ahead and hold down Control Shift Alt, dragged here, Control Shift slice circle, bring everything back, brush, insert BI, multi-mesh primitives H. We'll go ahead and grab this cylinder here. We'll just drag this on. Control drag again. That'll go ahead and fuse those two together. We'll go ahead and make this one. Hold down Control Shift, grab select lasso. We'll grab these endpoints here, hit Control W. We can use a little bit of transpose modeling as well. So we hit W, we can hit Y to go back to our original transpose line. We can hold down Control and tap this polygroup, hit E, Control drag, and that'll put in an edge ring for us. And now we can invert that mask, hit Control W, and now we've got a completely separate polygroup here. So a lot of different options in ZBrush. Of course, if you want to go back to the gizmo, just hit W and then Y again. Then Q to go back into draw mode. Let's go grab our insert mesh brush, original one we made. We'll grab the second one, the one that has more detail on it. And because it has a hole in the back, as long as we drag it right over this mesh here, and you can make it bigger, smaller, and like I said, you can pull this in or pull this out and have it mesh fuse, or like we did before, we hold down Alt, that'll fuse it inverted, and go ahead and mesh fuse it like that. So now you have an inverted version of that. So if you hit D, that'll go ahead and smooth perfectly and also mesh fuse either inverted, extroverted, or however you'd like to do that.